Somebody had described Trump one day when I was looking online through articles as a big toddler. And I said, you know what? That is so true. And thyblackman.com pretty much says all of the same things. We have a big, oversized 71-year-old bigoted child as president of the United States. And it is painfully obvious Trump has never worked a day in his life. Any halfway part of a success he's had through other people working for him. He's never actually done the work himself. And you can tell this man hasn't worked a day in his life. And it's very obvious when you see him going on all these golfing trips and he's hardly doing any work. He has not signed one piece of legislation since he's been in office. All right. And he doesn't seem to be interested in anything where he can't make a big deal out of himself. Donald Trump is reminiscent of a bratty child. I pointed out in a previous article, Trump supporters are constantly claiming that deep state is out to get him. Deep state is not out to get Trump. They're simply trying to protect America from an idiot. That's their job. Trump is his own worst enemy, and he's made it clear that he's unfit for office. And we know this. Donald Trump is getting up every day and winging it. Even his own staff is disgusted with him. That's why the White House is leaking like a sieve. The only people who care about Trump are a handful of bigots, and even they're beginning to see the light because it seems that everything he does or says is stupid and immature. So in terms of getting the people's admiration and respect, becoming president was the very worst thing that could have ever happened to Trump because it's placed his immaturity, narcissism, and gross ignorance on public display. The White House aides can't stop talking about Trump like a toddler. Donald Trump is reminiscent of a bratty teenager show-off who crosses the street against the red light just to show the more sensible kids they're wimps, to show caution. He's that kid who crashes a party, then smashes the cake just to show that he doesn't care, that he was so unpopular that he wasn't invited. That's his way of getting attention, by being irrelevant and foolishly macho. During the recent solar eclipse, for example, in spite of numerous medical warnings to the public, he insisted on looking at the sun with his bare eyes, just to prove how fearless he is. So recklessly stupid and irresponsible are better words to describe his behavior. A sensible adult would stop to consider that many children may follow his lead. So the man is completely thoughtless, and as long as he's in control of the nuclear codes, America is in serious peril. Republican Senator Bob Corker said President Trump has not yet been able to demonstrate the stability nor some of the competence that he needs to demonstrate in order to be successful. In other words, he's unstable and incompetent, or as a non-politician would say, dumb and crazy. Trump was repeatedly demonstrated the tendency to be reckless both during the campaign and now that he's president. In fact, that's how he became president. While the more sensible among us were distracted by political division, those who share Trump's dim-witted proclivities snuck him in through the back door. That's why everybody, including Trump himself, was so shocked that he won. And he's been bragging about it ever since, as though it was his brilliance that secured his victory. He doesn't seem to recognize that he won by default. That explains the situation that we find ourselves in today. Trump never intended to actually become president. He ran for the publicity. He simply wanted to showboat before the American people, brag about how rich he is, and feed his insatiable need to be the center of attention. But after he actually won, he had absolutely no plan, and he was grossly ill-prepared to carry out the awesome responsibility of the office. So that's where we are today, in the midst of one of the most dangerous moments in American history, with a Republican Party that's much more practiced in obstructionism than governance, controlling all three branches of government, and a head of state who has absolutely no idea what he's doing. So it's a matter of the blind leading the terrified. But the fact is, we brought this upon ourselves because Trump was elected for his bold vision for moving America forward. He was elected to punish for the previous election of Barack Obama. And that's exactly what we're getting, punishment. It's almost as if it weren't an act of God. But in spite of that, the majority of the evangelical right is holding tough in their support of Trump, which speaks volumes about their actual agenda and their mindset. These people are nothing more than bigots that's wrapped themselves in Jesus. As I've pointed out in previous articles, social conservatives or bigots tend to be the mediocrity of white society. So they try to use the fact that they were born white to define themselves and to compensate for their lack of personal value. Their entire sense of self-esteem is based more upon group association than individual value and accomplishment, and their entire claim to personal significance. Well, at least I'm better than them. No, they're not better than any Black person, ladies and gentlemen. This is why they had to sit around and make up a bunch of reasons why they're better than someone, and all of those reasons can easily be debunked. The high IQ, the IQ test is biased. They couldn't pass the test. It had to be revised 7 times before they could even pass it. And another thing they had to do to the test so they could pass it, they had to make it all Caucasian. Do you see an all Caucasian country around here? Okay, this country has never been all Caucasian. So that just go to show you, don't even think about that. The IQ test belongs in the nearest dumpster. That's about the only place it belongs. Then they said skin color makes them better. We already see the pus balls and second-degree burns that come from the sun on their skin, and how fast they age, and their skin just don't hold up at all. They look horrible, especially when they start inching to the late 20s and early 30s. And if they're on drugs, it's almost like it accelerates them a good 20 years almost. Even their scientists say there is no scientific proof that skin color makes you better. Okay? There is nothing, and we know their skin is definitely, look, you can throw lime juice on them and they burn out in the sun, so their skin and the fact that they have conned us all into believing they were the standard of beauty. In fact, they have spread this all over the world. They are not the standard of beauty. They do not have the most beautiful skin. They're not the most beautiful people on earth. It's none of the above. But see, when you own the media, it's easy to put those things out there and flood it all through the markets, in the print ads, on TV, and everywhere out in public. The only way these people can stay relevant is if they keep forcing their presence on all of us on a daily basis, and that's what they do. That's the only way they can stay relevant. So this entire nation, the future of our children, and in fact, all of humanity is being threatened by the desperate attempt of a handful of insecure bigots trying to maintain their delusions and of superiority. And as far as they're concerned, if the country has to be sacrificed for that cause, so be it. Thus, Donald Trump. So Trump called Make America Great Again is actually a racist code for taking America back to when bigotry was the law of the land. Ignorance and undereducated white boys were honored and looked up to, and the women were kept barefoot and pregnant. Thus, what we're currently witnessing in America is not the GOP's attempt to improve the lives of the American people, but the GOP's desperate attempt to erase Barack Obama from history by any means necessary, and an effort to resuscitate Jim Crow from the following vestige of his dying grasp. I'm sorry to have to repeat myself, but I've learned that technique from the GOP. If they can get America to embrace a lie by constantly repeating it like they are the standard of beauty, surely I should be able to do the same with the truth. And please don't be fooled by the GOP's stage political outrage and wailing condemnation of Trump over his racist remarks, response to the atrocities that took place in Charlottesville. Most of them fully agree that every syllable he uttered. The problem they have with Trump is he doesn't have sense enough to keep those beliefs to himself. Yeah, Mitch was livid, all right, but not because Donald Trump is a racist. He was livid over the fact that Trump blabbed their conservative secret out loud. Trump doesn't even have sense enough to realize that bigotry is a quiet art. Most conservatives have always been racist, regardless of party. That's what the word conservative means, to conserve the racist values of the past. But the GOP can't have the leader of the party running around telling the truth about their fascist predisposition out loud, because it's not good for political business. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think. I agree with a lot of what he said in this article. We have a elderly child running the country now, and it's really up to us to keep ourselves safe and not get mixed up with any turmoil that he causes, not only here but in the world. This man is a train wreck. It's just a matter of time before we're back in a major war over his big mouth. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And if you can donate to my channel, please do. Peace, family.